Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UCS Leviathan, watching Earth grow smaller through the massive viewport. The blue marble that held all of human history was now just a dot against the black of space. He had left home many times before, but this felt different. This time, he might not come back. "Captain, we have an incoming message from Admiral Carter," said Lieutenant Sam Brooks from his communication station. The young officer's voice carried a nervous edge that Jake recognized. Sam had never been in real combat before. "Put her through," Jake replied, straightening his uniform. A holographic display flickered to life, showing Admiral Lisa Carter's stern face. She had been Jake's mentor for 15 years, and he could read the worry in her eyes, even though her expression remained professional. "Jake, I know what you're thinking," she said without preamble. "You're wondering if we're sending you to die." Jake nodded. There was no point in lying to Lisa. She knew him too well. "The truth is, we don't know what you're flying into out there," Lisa continued. "These Korthic aliens have destroyed everything the Coalition has thrown at them. 12 star systems in 6 months. That's not just military superiority, Jake. That's complete technological dominance. Then why are we going?" Jake asked. "If they're that powerful, what can one human ship do?" Lisa smiled, and for a moment, she looked like the young lieutenant who had taught Jake how to navigate asteroid fields 20 years ago. "Because we're human, and humans don't give up. Also, because the Leviathan isn't just any ship." Jake looked. Around his bridge, the Leviathan was indeed special. 5 years in the making, she represented humanity's best technology. Her hull was made from a carbon-titanium alloy that was stronger than anything the Coalition had ever seen. Her weapons. Systems combined human kinetic technology with alien energy designs. Most importantly, she had the new quantum drive that could jump farther and faster than any other ship in known space. But Jake knew that technology alone wouldn't win wars. He had learned that lesson fighting pirates in the outer colonies. What mattered was the people using that technology. "Dr. Turner, status report on our systems." Jake called to his science officer. Dr. Alex Turner looked up from his console, pushing his glasses up his nose. "All systems are running perfectly, Captain. The quantum drive is stable, weapons are charged, and our defensive systems are at full power. I have to say, the alien technology we've integrated is fascinating. The energy patterns are unlike anything we've seen before." "Good. Commander Sullivan, what's our tactical situation?" Commander Kate Sullivan, his tactical officer, turned from her station. She had served with Jake for 8 years and was the best combat strategist he had ever worked with. "We're entering unknown territory, Captain. The Coalition provided us with all their intelligence on Korthic ships and weapons, but it's mostly observations from losing battles. We know they use energy weapons that can cut through Coalition shields like paper. We know their ships are fast and heavily armored. What we don't know is how they'll react to human technology." Jake nodded. The unknown was always the most dangerous enemy. "Chief Parker, how are we looking in engineering?" Chief Engineer Ben Parker's voice came through the CUM system from deep in the ship's belly. "The quantum drive is purring like a kitten, Captain. I've never seen anything like it. The power output is incredible, and the efficiency is off the charts. If we need to run, we can outrun anything in the galaxy. If we need to fight, we've got power to spare." That was reassuring. Ben Parker was the best engineer in the human fleet, and if he was confident in the ship, Jake felt better about their chances. The bridge door slid open, and Ambassador Zethkar walked in. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird, with scaled skin and bright yellow eyes. He moved with the careful grace of someone not used to human gravity. "Captain Morrison," Zethkar said in his translated voice, "I must again express my concerns about this mission. The Coalition has lost 47 ships to the Korthik in the last month alone. Many of those ships were larger and more heavily armed than the Leviathan. Jake studied the alien ambassador. Zethkar meant well, but Jake could see the doubt in his yellow eyes. Like most Coalition species, Zethkar viewed humans as newcomers to galactic civilization. They had been part of the galactic community for less than 50 years, while some Coalition species had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. "Ambassador, I appreciate your concern," Jake said carefully. "But humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog." Zethkar tilted his head in confusion. "I do not understand this reference to canines," Commander Sullivan smiled. "He means that determination and spirit matter more than size or strength." "Ah," Zethkar said, though he still looked doubtful. "In my experience, Captain, determination is admirable, but plasma cannons are more effective." "We'll see," Jake said. "Lieutenant Brooks, open a channel to the crew." "Channel open, sir." Jake took a deep breath. His crew of 800 men and women deserved to know what they were heading into. This is the captain speaking. "In 6 hours, we'll drop out of hyperspace in the Vega sector, where Coalition forces are making their stand against the Korthik Empire. I won't lie to you. We're heading into the biggest fight humanity has ever faced. The enemy is powerful, and they've defeated every force sent against them. But we're not every force. We're humans. Our ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have wiped out most species. They explored dangerous oceans, climbed impossible mountains, and eventually reached for the stars. That same spirit lives in each of us. The Leviathan is the most advanced ship humanity has ever built, but ships don't win battles. People do, and there are no better people in the galaxy than the men and women on this ship. We're going to show the galaxy what humans can do when we set our minds to it. All hands, prepare for combat. This is Captain Morrison out." Jake closed the channel and returned to watching the stars. Somewhere out there, an enemy waited that had never faced humans. Before, they were about to learn why Earth's children were called survivors. The Leviathan dropped out of hyperspace with a flash of blue light. Captain Jake Morrison immediately felt the tension on the bridge as his crew saw what waited for them in the Vega sector. "My God," whispered Dr. Alex Turner, staring at his sensors. The space around them was a graveyard. Twisted metal and debris from destroyed ships drifted in all directions. Some pieces were so large, they still had their hole markings visible. Jake could see the remains of Coalition cruisers, destroyers, and even massive dreadnoughts that had been torn apart like toys. "Captain, I'm reading 17 separate debris fields," reported Commander Kate Sullivan. "Coalition ships, all of them. Some of these battles happened recently, within the last week." "Sir, incoming transmission from Coalition Command," announced Lieutenant Sam Brooks. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, showing a tired-looking alien in a military uniform. His species had blue skin and 6 arms, and Jake remembered from his briefings that this was General Ryan Pierce, the Coalition's military commander for this sector. "Captain Morrison, welcome to what's left of our forces," Pierce said wearily. "I apologize for the view. We've been busy." "General, what's the current tactical situation?" Pierce's expression grew even more grim. "Bad and getting worse. The Korthik have been hitting us with coordinated attacks across 7 systems. Every time we think we have them figured out, they change their tactics. They're not just strong, Captain. They're smart." Jake studied the debris around them. "How many ships do you have left?" 42 combat vessels of various sizes. "We started this campaign with over 200. Pierce paused. "Captain, I've read the reports about human technology, but I have to ask, are you sure one ship is going to make a difference?" Before Jake could answer, Alarms started blaring across the bridge. "Contact!" shouted Sullivan. 3 ships dropping out of hyperspace, bearing 27 Mark IV. They're not broadcasting coalition signals. "Battle stations," Jake ordered calmly. "All hands to combat positions." The Leviathan's crew moved with practiced efficiency. Jake had drilled them for months, but this would be their first real test. "Captain, the unknown ships are accelerating toward us," Sullivan reported. "I'm reading energy signatures consistent with Corthic technology." On the main screen, 3 sleek vessels appeared, moving with deadly grace. They were smaller than the Leviathan, but looked fast and dangerous. Their hulls were dark gray, with red markings that seemed to glow with internal light. "They're targeting us, sir," reported the weapons officer. Multiple weapon locks detected. Jake watched the enemy ships approach. They moved in perfect formation, like predators closing in on prey. He could see why the coalition had struggled against them. "Dr. Turner, what can you tell me about those ships?" Turner was bent over his console, running every scan the Leviathan could manage. "They're using some kind of energy shielding I've never seen before. Their power output is enormous, and I'm detecting weapon systems that appear to be pure plasma-based. Time to weapons range? 30 seconds, sir." Jake made his decision. All power to forward shields, charge the main railguns. Let's show them what human engineering can do. The Corthic ships opened fire first. Bright red beams of energy lanced across space, striking the Leviathan's shields. The ship shook, but held together. "Shields down to 80%, Sullivan reported. "Those are some serious weapons. Return fire. Target the lead ship." The Leviathan's railguns fired, sending solid metal projectiles at incredible speed toward the enemy. The Corthic ship tried to dodge, but human targeting computers were faster. The projectile slammed into the alien ship's hull, punching completely through it. "Direct hit," Sullivan shouted. "The lead ship is venting atmosphere and losing power." Jake watched as the damaged Corthic ship fell behind its companions. The other 2 alien ships immediately changed their attack pattern, spreading out to attack from different angles. "They learn fast," Jake observed. "Sullivan, can you predict their movement pattern?" "Working on it, sir. Their ships are more maneuverable than ours, but they seem to favor coordinated attacks." The 2nd and 3rd Corthic ships fired together, their energy beams converging on the Leviathan's position. Jake felt the deck shake under his feet as the alien weapons found their mark. "Shields down to 60%, reported the defensive systems officer. "Chief Parker, I need more power to the shields," Jake called to engineering. "Giving you everything I can, Captain. But these energy weapons are different from anything we've faced before. They seem to disrupt our shield harmonics." Jake thought quickly. The aliens had superior maneuverability and weapons that were designed to penetrate shields. But they had never faced human tactics before. "All stop," he ordered. "Sir?" Sullivan looked confused. "You heard me. Full stop. Let them come to us." The Corthic ships, apparently surprised by this move, slowed their approach. Jake could imagine the alien commanders trying to figure out what the humans were planning. Now, hard to starboard. Full acceleration. Fire all weapons as we cross their formation. The Leviathan suddenly lurched sideways, accelerating at maximum power directly across the path of the approaching alien ships. The unexpected maneuver caught the Corthic completely off guard. "Fire!" Jake commanded. Every weapon on the Leviathan fired at once. Railguns, missile tubes, and even the experimental plasma cannons that Dr. Turner had been working on. The concentrated firepower tore into the alien ships at point-blank range. The 2nd Corthic ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The 3rd ship, damaged but still fighting, tried to turn and flee. "Don't let it escape," Jake ordered. "If it reports back to their fleet, they'll know our capabilities." "Firing pursuit missiles," Sullivan reported. Two smart missiles streaked after the fleeing alien ship. The Korthik vessel fired defensive systems, destroying one missile, but the second found its target. The alien ship disappeared in another explosion. All enemy ships destroyed, Sullivan announced. The bridge erupted in shears, but Jake remained focused. Damage report. Minor hull damage on decks 4 and 7. Shields recharging. No casualties, reported the damage control officer. Jake nodded, then opened a channel to General Pierce. General, this is Captain Morrison. 3 Korthik ships have been destroyed with no coalition losses. Pierce's expression on the screen showed complete shock. Captain, did you say no losses? In 6 months of fighting, we've never destroyed a single Korthik ship without losing at least 2 of our own. The battle is over, General. We're transmitting our sensor data now. I think you'll find it interesting. Jake looked at his crew. They had just won their first victory against an enemy that had seemed unstoppable. But he knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, more Korthik ships were preparing for war. And soon they would learn that humanity had arrived. 2 weeks after their first victory, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the Coalition War Room aboard the massive space station orbiting Helios Prime. The room was filled with alien commanders from a dozen different species, all studying holographic displays showing the current state of the war. The situation has changed dramatically since the humans arrived, General Ryan Pierce was saying to the assembled officers. We've won 4 major engagements and successfully defended 3 key systems. For the first time in months, we're pushing the Korthik back instead of running from them. Jake watched the alien faces around the table. Some showed hope for the first time in months. Others still looked doubtful, as if they couldn't believe their string of good luck would continue. Commander Kate Sullivan stood beside Jake, pointing to the tactical display. The key difference is coordination, she explained to a group of coalition officers. Your ships are individually powerful, but you've been fighting as separate units. The Korthik have been using that against you, dividing your forces and destroying them piecemeal. A tall, insectoid officer named Colonel Vexhai clicked his mandibles in what Jake had learned was their species' version of disagreement. Human tactics are unconventional. Your ship deliberately places itself in dangerous positions. Calculated risks, Jake corrected. We study the enemy's patterns and exploit their weaknesses. The Korthik expect their opponents to fight defensively. When we attack aggressively, they don't know how to respond. Dr. Alex Turner, who had been quietly studying the alien technology displays, looked up from his datapad. I've been analyzing the wreckage from our battles. The Korthik ships are incredibly advanced, but they're designed for fighting enemies who use energy-based weapons and defensive tactics. Our kinetic weapons and aggressive maneuvering are outside their experience. The question is, General Pierce, can we keep it up? Our intelligence suggests the Korthik are adapting to our new tactics. They're sending larger fleets and changing their attack patterns. As if summoned by his words, the station's alert systems began blaring. A coalition officer rushed into the room. General, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are detecting a massive Korthik fleet approaching the Helios Junction. At least 30 ships, including what appears to be a dreadnought-class vessel. Jake felt the mood in the room shift immediately. 30 ships was more than double any force they had faced so far. How long until they arrive? Pierce asked. 6 hours, sir. Pierce looked around the room at his commanders. Recommendations? The alien officers began talking at once, their various languages creating a chaos of sound. Jake could make out suggestions ranging from immediate retreat to hiding behind the station's defensive systems. We fight, Jake said quietly, but his voice carried enough authority to cut through the noise. Captain Morrison, said an alien officer Jake didn't recognize, 30 ships is an enormous force. Even with your remarkable vessel, The odds are impossible. The odds were impossible when my ancestors faced the British Empire with hunting rifles and determination, Jake replied. The odds were impossible when they put men on the moon using computers less powerful than a modern calculator. Humans, don't surrender because the odds are bad. Commander Sullivan stepped forward. Captain, I've been studying the junction's layout. It's actually a perfect place for an ambush. The asteroid field provides cover, and the gravitational anomalies will interfere with their sensors. Dr. Turner nodded enthusiastically. The quantum resonance from the star will mask our energy signatures. We could position our forces throughout the field and attack from multiple directions simultaneously. General Pierce looked thoughtful. It's risky. If we lose this battle, we lose the entire sector. If we run from this battle, we'll keep running until there's nowhere left to go, Jake said. The Korthik need to learn that humans don't retreat, and our allies need to learn that they don't have to either. Over the next 4 hours, Jake worked with the coalition commanders to position their forces throughout the Helios Junction. It was like conducting an orchestra, but instead of musicians, he was coordinating 42 warships from 8 different species. Captain Nick Davis, commanding the UCS Ranger, had arrived 2 days earlier with reinforcements from Earth. His ship was smaller than the Leviathan, but carried the same advanced human technology. Jake, are you sure about this plan? Nick asked over the private communication channel. We're outnumbered 3-1. I'm sure, Jake replied. The Korthik have never faced a coordinated ambush. They're used to enemies who fight them head-on or run away. We're going to do neither. The Korthik fleet arrived exactly on schedule, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Jake watched from his position, hidden behind a large asteroid, as 30 alien warships moved into the junction. Their dreadnought was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Leviathan. All units maintain silence. Jake broadcast on the encrypted coalition frequency. Wait for my signal. The Korthik fleet moved deeper into the asteroid field, clearly confident in their overwhelming superiority. Jake could imagine their commanders discussing how to divide up the coalition forces once they were destroyed. Target the smaller ships first, Jake ordered. The dreadnought is powerful, but it's also slow. We take out their escorts and then concentrate fire on the big one. When the enemy fleet reached the center of the junction, Jake gave the signal. All units, attack. 42 coalition ships opened fire simultaneously from positions throughout the asteroid field. The Korthik fleet, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to respond to attacks coming from every direction. The Leviathan emerged from behind its asteroid, railguns firing at maximum rate. Jake watched with satisfaction as their first salvo punched through the shields of a Korthik cruiser, sending it spinning out of control. Direct hit on target 7, Sullivan reported. Their formation is breaking apart. The coalition ships, fighting together for the first time in months, were devastating. Alien vessels that had spent months running from the Korthik were now attacking with coordinated fury, but the Korthik weren't helpless. Their dreadnought's main weapon fired, a massive energy beam that completely destroyed a coalition destroyer. In a single shot, focus fire on the dreadnought, Jake ordered. All ships, concentrate on that big target. The battle turned into a slugging match, with both sides trading devastating blows. Jake watched his tactical display as ships on both sides were destroyed or disabled. But slowly, the tide was turning in their favor. Captain, the Korthik are trying to retreat, Sullivan reported. Don't let them. If even one ship escapes, they'll report our tactics to their main fleet. The final phase of the battle was a chase through the asteroid field, with coalition ships pursuing the surviving Korthik vessels. When the last enemy ship was destroyed, Jake allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. All units, report status, he ordered. The reports came in slowly. They had lost 8 ships and had 12 more with serious damage. But they had completely destroyed a Korthek fleet of 30 ships, including their largest vessel. General Pierce. To all units came the voice over the communication system. Congratulations on a historic victory. The Korthek have never lost a fleet this size. Jake looked at his crew. They were exhausted, but proud. More importantly, they had proven that the Korthek could be beaten. But as he watched the debris from the battle drift through space, Jake knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere in the galaxy, Korthek High Command was receiving news of this defeat, and they would not be pleased. The news of the Helios Junction victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the Coalition capital, billions of beings watched the battle recordings with amazement. In the outer systems, planets that had been preparing for Korthek, invasion began to hope again. And in the dark heart of Korthek space, Emperor Zargoth watched the same recordings with growing fury. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Starbase Omega, watching new ships arrive every hour. Word had spread that the Coalition was finally winning, and species from across the galaxy were sending ships to join the fight. Some Jake recognized from his briefings, but others were completely unknown to human science. "It's incredible," said Dr. Alex Turner, joining Jake at the massive viewport. 6 months ago, the Coalition was falling apart. Now they have more ships than they know what to do with. Jake nodded, but his expression remained serious. The Korthek won't take this lying down. Every victory we win makes them more determined. To destroy us. "Captain Morrison?" came a voice behind them. Jake turned to see Ambassador Carol Stone, Earth's diplomatic representative to the Coalition Council. She looked excited, but also worried. "Ambassador, what brings you to the military section?" "News from Earth, Captain. The Council has voted to send the entire Third Fleet to support you. 50 ships, including the new UCS Titan." Jake raised an eyebrow. The Titan was the Leviathan's sister ship, built with all the lessons learned from their battles. "That's a significant commitment. What changed their minds?" "The intelligence reports you've been sending back. The Korthek aren't just trying to conquer the Coalition anymore, Captain. According to our spies, Emperor Zargoth has declared humans an existential threat to their empire. They're planning something big." Before Jake could respond, alarms began, blaring throughout the station. The 3 humans rushed to the nearest communication panel. "All personnel, this is command. We have received a priority transmission from Coalition intelligence. All senior officers report to the war room immediately." Jake, Turner, and Stone hurried through the station's corridors. The war room was already crowded with officers from a dozen species when they arrived. General Pierce stood at the center, his blue skin looking pale. "Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted beings," Pierce began, "we have a problem. Our intelligence network has intercepted Korthek military communications. Emperor Zargoth has ordered a full mobilization of their Imperial fleet." A holographic display appeared, showing the Korthek Empire's territory. Red dots marked ship concentrations, and Jake felt his stomach sink as he saw the numbers. "How many ships are we talking about?" asked Captain Eric Johnson, who had arrived the day before commanding the newly arrived UCS Titan. "Over 300 combat vessels," Pierce replied, "including their entire dreadnought fleet and something our spies are calling the World Killer." The room fell silent. Jake had seen what a single Korthek dreadnought could do. The idea of facing dozens of them was terrifying. "There's more," Pierce continued. "They're not targeting our military bases or supply lines. According to the intercepted communications, they're heading directly for Earth." Jake felt the blood drain from his face. Earth was humanity's home, with billions of people who had never seen an alien warship except in documentaries. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 2 weeks, maybe less. The Korthik have been building up this fleet for months. They want to end the war by destroying humanity's home world. Ambassador Stone stepped forward. General, Earth's defenses are strong, but they're designed to fight pirates and raiders, not a full Imperial fleet. We need to stop them before they reach the solar system. Agreed, Pierce said, but we can't match their numbers. Even with all our recent reinforcements, we have less than 200 ships. Jake studied the tactical display, his mind racing. The Korthik plan was actually brilliant in its simplicity. Bypass all the Coalition's defenses and strike directly at humanity's heart. It would force the human ships to abandon their allies and return home, breaking up the Coalition's new unity. They're expecting us to run home and defend Earth. Jake said slowly, "That's exactly what they want us to do." "Captain, we can't let them attack Earth," Johnson protested. "There are 12 billion people there." "I'm not suggesting we abandon Earth," Jake replied. "I'm suggesting we change the game entirely." He walked to the tactical display and began highlighting systems on the star map. The Korthik are committing their entire fleet to this attack. That means their home systems are defended by nothing but patrol ships and space stations. What if we attack their capital while they're attacking ours? The room erupted in discussion. Some officers thought it was brilliant. Others thought it was suicide. "Captain Morrison," said a Coalition Admiral Jake didn't recognize, "even if we could reach their capital, we'd be attacking the most heavily defended system in their empire." "No," Dr. Turner said, suddenly understanding Jake's plan. "We'd be attacking a system defended by automated systems and a skeleton crew. All their mobile forces will be attacking Earth." "It's still incredibly risky," Pierce said. "If we fail, both Earth and the Coalition capital could fall." Jake looked around. The room at the faces of beings from dozens of worlds. Some were terrified, others excited, but all of them were looking to him for leadership. "Here's what we're going to do," Jake said. "We split our forces. Half go to defend Earth. That's not negotiable. The other half comes with me to the Korthok capital. We show them that humans don't just defend, we attack." "And if their fleet turns around to defend their home?" asked Johnson. "Then Earth gets reinforced, and we accomplish our goal anyway. The point is to make them choose between offense and defense. Right now, they think they can do both." Over the next 12 hours, Jake worked with the Coalition's best strategists to plan the most audacious military operation in galactic history. They would split their forces and attack 2 targets simultaneously across half the galaxy. Captain Eric Johnson would lead the defense of Earth with 60 ships, including many of the Coalition's heaviest vessels. Jake would take the Leviathan and 70 ships on a strike mission to the heart of Korthik space. "Jake, you realize this is insane," Johnson said as they reviewed the final plans. "Probably," Jake agreed. "But sometimes insane is exactly what you need. The Korthik have been fighting predictable enemies for centuries. Time to show them what unpredictable looks like." Dr. Maria Santos, a physicist who had arrived with the Third Fleet, approached Jake with a data pad. "Captain, I've been studying the wreckage from your battles. I think I've figured out how their weapons work. And they use a form of directed plasma that creates a resonance cascade in standard energy shields. That's why they're so effective against Coalition defenses." "Can we counter it?" "I think so. It will require modifying our shield generators, but it should be possible. The problem is, we only have enough time to upgrade a few ships." Jake thought for a moment. "Upgrade the Leviathan, and as many of the human ships as you can. If this works, we'll need every advantage we can get." As the hours ticked by, Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. In 2 weeks, the fate of both humanity and the Coalition would be decided. Two battles, on opposite sides of the galaxy, would determine whether freedom or tyranny ruled the stars. But as he watched his crew preparing for the mission, Jake felt a familiar confidence building. Humans had always been at their best when the odds were worst. And these odds were about as bad as they could get. The Korthic Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a dark storm cloud blotting out the stars. 300 ships of various sizes, led by the massive World Killer, a vessel so large it could be seen. From Earth's surface as a moving star, War Prince Drakmar, son of Emperor Zargoth, stood on the bridge of the World Killer and smiled with satisfaction. The pathetic human home system lay before him, defended by nothing more than a few orbital platforms and patrol ships. Within hours, the species that had dared to challenge the Korthic Empire would be extinct. "My prince," reported his tactical. "Officer, we are detecting approximately 60 ships moving to intercept us. Most appear to be coalition vessels, with perhaps 20 human ships among them." 60 ships? Drakmar laughed. They send 60 ships against 300? These humans are either very brave or very stupid. What the War Prince didn't know was that Captain Eric Johnson, commanding the defense fleet from the bridge of the UCS Titan, was neither brave nor stupid. He was calculating. "All ships, implement Plan Omega," Johnson broadcast to his fleet. "Remember, we don't need to win this fight. We just need to make them pay for every inch." The human defense fleet spread out across the solar system, using the planets and asteroid belt as cover. They had spent 2 weeks preparing for this moment, turning every piece of space debris into a potential weapon. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison was leading his strike force toward the Korthic capital. 70 ships, including the Leviathan, had made the dangerous journey through enemy territory without being detected. "Captain, we're approaching the Korathan system," reported Commander Kate Sullivan. "Long-range sensors show minimal defenses." Exactly as intelligence predicted. Jake studied the tactical display. The Korthic homeworld was protected by orbital defense platforms and a small patrol fleet, but nothing compared to the massive forces that were currently attacking Earth. "Dr. Turner, status on our special project?" "The quantum resonance bombs are ready, Captain. If we can get close enough to their orbital shipyards, we can destroy their entire shipbuilding capacity." Jake nodded. The plan was simple in concept, but incredibly dangerous in execution. While the Korthic fleet was destroying Earth, Jake's force would cripple their ability to build new ships. It was a trade that would hurt both sides, but it might give the galaxy a chance to recover. Back at Earth, the battle had begun in earnest. The Korthic fleet advanced through the solar system like an unstoppable tide, but the human defenders made them fight for every mile. "Target their escort ships first," Johnson ordered. "Let the big ones come to us." The UCS Titan fired its rail, guns at maximum rate, sending solid metal projectiles through space at incredible speeds. The Korthic ships, designed to fight energy weapons, struggled to adapt to the human kinetic technology, but there were simply too many of them. For every Korthic ship the humans destroyed, 2 more took its place. "Sir, we've lost the orbital. Platforms around Mars," reported the Titan's tactical officer. "The enemy is advancing toward Earth's moon." Johnson gritted his teeth. They were losing, but they were making the Korthic pay dearly for their victory dot at the Korthic homeworld. Jake's fleet had engaged the orbital defenses. The battle was fierce, but brief. The Korthic had never expected an attack on their capital. "Planetary shields are down," Sullivan reported. "We have a clear shot at the surface installations. Begin the bombardment," Jake ordered. "Target their military facilities and shipyards. Avoid civilian areas." The Leviathan's weapons opened fire on the massive shipyards orbiting the Korthic homeworld. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers as construction facilities that had built warships for centuries were reduced to scrap metal. Direct hit on the primary construction facility, Dr. Turner reported. Their shipbuilding capacity is down by 60%, but Jake knew they couldn't stay long. Soon, the Korthik would realize what was happening and send ships to defend their capital. Back at Earth, War Prince Drakmar was growing frustrated. The human defense was more stubborn than he had expected. His fleet had lost 30 ships just getting to Earth's moon, and the humans showed no sign of surrendering. My prince, we're receiving urgent communications from the homeworld, his communications officer reported, his voice filled with panic. What? Drakmar snapped. The capital is under attack, sir. A coalition fleet led by human ships has destroyed our orbital shipyards and is bombarding military installations. Drakmar felt his blood turn cold. This was impossible. The humans were supposed to be defending their homeworld, not attacking his. How many ships? He demanded. 70, sir. Led by the vessel that has been causing us so much trouble, the Leviathan. Drakmar stared at the tactical display showing Earth's defenses. He had been outmaneuvered by the humans. While he attacked their home, they had attacked his. Now he faced an impossible choice: continue the attack on Earth and let his own world burn, or return home and let the humans escape. My prince, what are your orders? Asked his tactical officer. Drakmar looked at the blue planet below, so small and defenseless. But he could not let the Korthik capital fall while he was conquering human worlds. Signal the fleet, he said through gritted teeth. We return home immediately. Captain Johnson watched in amazement as the massive Korthik fleet suddenly stopped its advance and began turning around. Sir, they're leaving, his tactical officer reported, unable to keep the surprise out of his voice. All ships pursue but maintain distance, Johnson ordered. Let's see where they're going. At the Korthik homeworld, Jake received word that the enemy fleet was returning. How long until they arrive? He asked. 6 hours, Captain, Sullivan replied. Then we have 6 hours to finish this. Dr. Turner, deploy the quantum resonance bombs. I want their military infrastructure completely destroyed. Over the next 4 hours, Jake's fleet systematically destroyed every military installation on the Korthik homeworld. Weapons factories, training centers, command bunkers, all reduced to rubble by precise orbital bombardment. But the most important target was still intact. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the Imperial Palace, Turner reported. It appears to be more than just a government building. There are military command systems integrated into the structure. Jake studied the readings. The palace was heavily shielded and defended, but it was also the nerve center of the Korthik Empire. One final strike, Jake decided. All ships target the Imperial Palace, full bombardment. The combined firepower of 70 ships focused on the palace complex. The shields held for several minutes, but eventually collapsed under the sustained assault. The symbols of Korthik power crumbled into dust. Captain, enemy fleet detected approaching the system, Sullivan announced. 2 hours out. Time to go, Jake said. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. We've done what we came here to do. As the Coalition strike force departed, they left behind a Korthik homeworld that would take decades to rebuild. The Empire's war machine had been crippled, their capital humiliated, and their sense of invincibility shattered. 2 weeks later, Jake stood on the observation deck of Starbase Omega, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive to join the Coalition. The Korthik Empire had sued for peace, their appetite for conquest permanently diminished. So what happens now? Asked Dr. Turner, joining Jake at the viewport. Now we build, Jake replied. The galaxy has learned that the Coalition can defend itself. More importantly, they've learned that humans don't give up. Admiral Lisa Carter's voice came over the communication system. Captain Morrison, please report to the War Room. The Coalition Council has a proposition for you. Jake walked through the station's corridors, past aliens from dozens of worlds, who nodded respectfully as he passed. In the War Room, he found not just Coalition leaders, but ambassadors from species that had never joined the Alliance before. Captain Morrison, General Pierce said with a smile, the Council has voted unanimously. We would like to offer you command of the new Combined Defense Fleet. It seems the galaxy needs someone who thinks differently about warfare. Jake looked around the room at beings from hundreds of worlds, all united by a common desire for peace and freedom. It was a responsibility he had never asked for, but one he was ready to accept. I'm honored, Jake said. But I have one condition. Name it, said the Coalition President. Earth becomes a full member of the Coalition, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. We're not just soldiers for hire, we're partners. Agreed, the President said immediately. Welcome to the galactic community, Captain. We're glad to have you. As Jake accepted his new role, he thought about the journey that had brought him here. A single ship had entered a galactic war and changed everything. Not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through human determination and the willingness to fight for what was right. The galaxy was a safer place now, and Earth's children had earned their place among the stars. The Korthik had learned why humans were called survivors, and why Earth's mightiest ship was just the beginning of humanity's story in the cosmos dot outside the station. New human ships were arriving daily, carrying explorers, scientists, and diplomats, ready to take their place in the galactic community. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.